Best I could do was like 7 chicken fried steaks.
What an intro.
He's always got something new for me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ryan. Great work. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Memorial Day weekend special. Happy Memorial Day to everyone out there. Celebrate and have a good time. Tonight we've got Mr. Kenneth Bowman and Joseph Mosby, 50 Cent of the Four Quarters. Welcome, guys. We also got our recruiting specialist, Martin Marroquin. I'm going to get it right one of these days, Martin.
Marroquin.
I have a hard time rolling the R's, man. I'm not.
It just make a D sound. Marroquin. It makes it easier.
Marroquin. Oh, I like that.
There you go.
Marroquin.
There you go.
Welcome, guys. Thank y'all for taking the time off your hot weekend. Joining us for some U of H and just sports talk all around.
Of course, man. I love talking ball. It's great to be here.
Yeah, appreciate the invite. You know, we got something to talk about. It's the off season. It's like the dead month, but we got some stuff. You know,
there's always something going on with all the BS going on in the NCAA. We got that going on. We got the NBA conference championships going on. Got World Cup prep coming up. And it just doesn't stop. We got the steroid Olympics tonight.
Yep. Shout out Fred Curley.
I'm interested to see that. But let's get this started off with some recruiting news. And Martin, you had produced a article this week that had me kind of excited. Talk to us a little bit about that.
You talking about Thomas?
Talking
about Thomas.
Yeah, we're on a giant.
Yeah, a kid from up in Fort Worth at Eaton. And, you know, I don't have confirmed measurements, but this is what the kid told me. He was 35.5-inch arms, which would have placed him number 2 in the NFL draft for offensive linemen in terms of arm length. Just starting there, great start. Whether or not he can move doesn't matter. As soon as the ball is snapped, he sticks his hand out, it's in somebody's chest. So that's the kind of prospect you want on the outside. You know, in Power 4 conference, they're going to face legit edge rushers and need to protect your quarterback. You know, Connor can run and Keyshawn can run, but you want to make their lives as easy and comfortable as possible. So acquiring length and height, especially on the outside on the offensive line, is certainly a priority, it seems, for the staff based on, you know, the players they brought in even in the transfer portal. Drew Terrell, who they just got, you know, he's got some length on the outside. And, of course, Davis Sele is nothing if not a long athlete. So it's definitely a priority. And then if you look at who they're recruiting, who they're offering, who's coming in on visits, length is a priority, and Morbury is probably at the top elite level of that.
I tell you what, the thing that jumped off the page to me when you're talking about his reach, 87-inch wingspan, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. But what has me the most excited is he's 6'8", 285 pounds. I like slimmer linemen coming out of high school, because
almost like big basketball players.
Yeah, just guys that are more athletic. A lot of the guys that are bigger, you know, the 320 guys or whatever, they're really kind of able to get away with just using their sheer weight and moving people around. But guys that are a little bit slimmer seem to always are going to have a different kind of motor, if you will, that you can really build on. That's what's got me excited about this guy.
Yeah, and it's different, I would say, too, from like a strength and conditioning aspect. You're not knocking bad weight off of a kid to then build him back up. You kind of just from the get-go let's put good muscle on you. You're going to lean out. The bad weight's going to go away as you do what we need to do, the program, hitting the weights and stuff like that. But rather than showing up at 340 potentially because, diet wasn't important because he could just be bigger than everybody, like you said. You get a kid in and you can structure his body, for lack of a better way to put it, how you want, so he can do the things that you need him to do. And you see it in his tape. I mean, he's pretty, nimble-footed for a giant. It's not easy for those guys just based on nature and physics to bend. So when you see guys that can actually, get their butt down and their torso is vertical rather than, they almost have a flat back because they can't bend at the ankles or the knees or the hips. They have to, lean forward. That's a good sign for flexibility and how they're going to be able to carry weight potentially going forward and getting out of their stance and stuff. So they're not just getting huge people. They're getting long athletes. I've mentioned them before, but Ty Green is another good example of that, the Stratford O-lineman. He's transitioning from D-line to O-line, but he's like 6'6", 290 something. I saw him in person. He has tree trunks for legs, but he can move. He's long, and those are the kinds of kids that they're recruiting. Aiden Ray, who I talked to a couple weeks ago, same thing. I think he's 6'6", 301. So I mean that's another large human with the potential to get bigger and put on the good weight that they're going to hope to put on in the program.
Right. Yeah, I think I don't know, with the types of defense you see and the types of defense, the athletes you see on defense, our offensive linemen have to be able to move. And for an effective running game, our offensive linemen are going to have to be able to get to linebackers quickly. And it's something that we haven't had in the past, but it's nice to see that that's kind of the you can see what they're working towards by the guys that they're bringing in, the guys that they're going after, because that mobility is vital. I mean, you could be 6'9", 370 pounds, but if you can't move, you just kind of taking up a spot. You're gonna have you're gonna have running backs just running into your back, and that's as good as a tackle.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, man. I was in the camp last year at the beginning of the year. It's like, man, I'm not sure this offensive line coach is. I'm worried. I'm concerned. But man, the magic he did with that group over the second half of the season showed me exactly why he came with the reputation that he had. And I know he's had Coach Nagavi's had a kind of a tough. He's had a tough hand, and he's dealt with it and trying to make the best out of it. And I think that looking at that offensive line unit, he got every bit out of the talent that he had, and I thought it was a complete turnaround. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how it plays out as you get more players that fit kind of what we're doing offensively, schematically, and also the types that they like. It'll be fascinating to watch next year.
Yeah. I mean, I was in the building for his first year on staff, and they kind of got ravaged by the transfer portal, when he showed up. So it wasn't just that he wasn't in a place. He was figuring out on the fly, which a lot of coaches do now. But, I had saw him deal with it firsthand and had to help him try to structure an offensive line. But, he had talented players leave and was trying to bring some in and was kind of in scramble mode for a couple seasons, with, our last year there, his first year, I'd say really with Coach Fritz. And then, this year that they've been able to implement what they're trying to do on offense. He's in a more comfortable position with Slade Nagel coming over. Those are all the guys that he worked with. They had all the success at Tulane. And so, I think it's comfort level, getting the guys in that they want, being able to get the guys in that they want, and getting good running backs. And not even necessarily not that Dean Connors isn't talented. Obviously, he's going to have an opportunity in the league, but he just knew what he was doing. And that's a big deal. A good running back is going to make an offensive line look way better, just because they know where to run. It sounds like a simple concept, but it just works that way. And I think this year, the good running back that they got in Mekhi Hughes is going to make that offensive line look really good. I think the offensive line got better. Getting Shadre Hurst is going to be massive. Again, speaking to what they want offensive linemen to do, being able to move in space and get out in front with the types of plays they want to call and the types of athletes they have in the backfield. I think it's going to be a huge year for them in the trenches on offense for sure.
Yeah, and see the people. I think one thing whenever I'm evaluating the job that Gavi was doing, I have to remember that right as he was coming in, we lost pretty much every bit of our depth. I think like 12 guys on the offensive line that were guys coming up and guys that were at least depth roles. Those guys were gone. So I mean, you had to not only go out and get frontline starters, you had to go out and get backups for those guys, and it's kind of tough to get backups these days in the portal. Guys that are going to be willing to go somewhere and not get immediate playing time. But it was nice to see that change. And from what I'm seeing on recruiting, I got to be pretty happy with it.
Yeah. I was going to input and say, like, you're talking about the running backs, and I think they're setting up not just for this year, but the years in the future, what they have in the group they're coming in with John Hebert. You have, Rashawn Saford's going to be here again next year. They have a couple young dudes, not just in the running back room. That's one thing I've been impressed is program building. They're not just trying to win for this year, but they're trying to build a program, right? Just moving into the future and having all these solid pieces around it. And it's really encouraging, right? You walk out and you're like, hey, who's this dude? And he's on a third team offense, right? You're looking at Paris Melvin balling out, you know what I mean? He's a true freshman, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, they're building we're going to be excited for next year. But then my thought is, okay, what about the year after? Like we talked about, April came out today, Landon Collins-Williams. Might we get a running back like that to come in right after John Hebert? That's building on top of building. Anthony Boswell was a true freshman last year. He's going to be here by the time some of these people come in. So it's just really dope to see. And
ballers want to play with and against ballers.
Ballers coming.
I mean, that's just the simple fact. If you're a top level recruit, or if you're a really good player, you want to go to a place that has other really good players. It takes a huge leap of faith to be that first one to really jump in. Kind of like go back to Galen Robinson back in the day. He took a huge leap of faith on U of H and committed, and then he kind of opened the floodgates for us. You're seeing that possibly right now with Paris Melvin and with Keyshawn. Once you see those guys, all of a sudden you're in the mix. It's like, hold on. These guys are getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking on running backs, I wanted to get your input on Landon Williams College dropping his top 10. UH has made his top once again. Do you have a reaction to that, Martin? And do you know or have any insight on where the program stands with securing him?
I know he has an official visit. So that's good. And it's good to anytime a list drops and your logo is still there, it's positive, of course. But I can't, unfortunately, I don't have like great insider information. Landon is not, I think he enjoys being recruited like any kid does, but I don't think he necessarily loves talking to media. Just based on my personal experience, it could just be me. I might rub him the wrong way. But I think he just likes the ball, and I think he, loves to be recruited. I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it's great, but I just think he's out there hooping, and then the schools show up, and then he decides based on how the relationships are going, who's still in the boat. And I think Houston is very much still in the boat. I mean, he's been on campus several times. He went to a spring practice or two. I know he was certainly there for one. Again, he has an official visit set. And I believe that's June 4th to the 6th. So that would be their second set of official visits. And I mean, that's the extent of the information that I have. But he, in my opinion, is probably somebody they're like super all in on getting. I still would put my money on Raiden Cook being the best player in this class when we look back on it in a few years. But in terms of profile and position and just fun, Landon is at the moment the highest profile recruit I think they're still in the running for.
What is the OB schedule looking like coming up? You said that go ahead.
So the 28th through the 30th is their first set. So this coming weekend, this coming weekend is going to be their first set, and then I think they have June 4th to the 6th, and then I think they might have a third weekend in June set, and I think they're trying to get as many kids locked in now. There may be a smattering in the end of the year based on schedules and just how things shake out, because signing day is in December. It's not when these kids commit now. So, there might be some official visits late to lock some stuff in and just maybe how some things shake out. But I would bet on these next 2 or 3 weekends being the bulk of what the class looks like. I mean, they're almost at double-digit commits now. They're at 8 according to 24/7. I think it's 9. And then that's halfway to what they ended up with at the end of the signing day last year. And they might be approaching that after these next couple of weekends.
It's nice to hear that we have we've got that many recruits or that many commits early. I love early commits. I don't like sitting at 5 going into September. Because all of a sudden December comes around and then you hear, well, that ship has sailed. Never again. Never again, right, guys?
Done recruiting.
Huh?
We're done recruiting.
Exactly. We're going on. We're going to 27, 28. Anything else you got on the recruiting front?
Yeah, so I've spoken with a couple of other soon-to-be official visitors. Rome Ewell, a linebacker out of Springtown, and he was offered, I want to say, earlier this year, but he's another kid. He was under-recruited, I felt like, coming out of his junior year, and then he kind of spiked, as kids have been doing with him when I talk to them. Now and then we get a Houston's in my top 2 or they're my number 1, but they both mentioned a top 4. So Luke Stevens is the other. He's a white cornerback, which we all know are rare, even with a couple in the NFL. So that part of it is cool. He's a good player.
They're coming back, man. They're coming back.
Yeah, we kind of joked about that. About can't avoid it. But they'll we'll be producing something soon with the conversation I had with Luke Stevens and Rome Ewell, just about where things stand with the Cougs and their excitement for visiting and who they're hearing from. But they're both official visitors to be, and they gave me a list of 4, and Houston's in the top on both of those. But yeah, the running theme that I seem to be getting, when I look at what visitors are coming up and what officers are going out, it's a lot of offensive line, which of course is good to hear. They have quite a few commits in terms of offense and especially a receiver. They have KJ Porter at running back, who gives me a lot of Rayshon Sanford vibes. Braden Baker at quarterback. I would think they're not going to go after another quarterback, especially with the caliber of player he is, that I believe him to be. I think he'll be a 4-star by the time signing day rolls around. For whatever rankings matter, other than us being able to say that we got another 4-star. But it's they have Kale Thigpen and Raiden Cook on the D line, but corner, DB in general. Offensive line, linebackers, I think those are going to be positions they start to fill in here soon. Now, some of the receivers that have signed are kind of interchangeable. The feedback that I get from coaches is that when a kid is an athlete and he plays both sides of the ball, he's truly an athlete to the staff until he gets to campus, because it may be that they didn't land a cornerback they wanted or a safety. And so, if they end up with 12 guys in the receiver room and they only have 4 or 5 at safety or corner or whatever it may be, then somebody is going to make the transition to fill out the roster and fill the needs that they have, which I think is a smart way to go about doing it, instead of closing the door on something that a kid could do in the future. There's actually a Louisiana kid, Brajan Melanson. He's got an official visit coming up, and he said Houston is in a good spot with him because they're the only of the major schools recruiting him that believe he can play receiver. Everybody else thinks he can only do DB, or they're only recruiting him to play DB, where Houston is saying, we think you can do both, and it's a decision we'll make if you commit and when or if you end up on campus. So that kind of stuff is helping the program. They're not shutting the door on kids before they even show up.
Right. I don't think we have the luxury to, but I think, if you've got a kid that can flat out get it done, there's no reason to pigeonhole him. And if everybody's recruiting him as a DB, I go back to like Greg Ward when he came here. Everybody wanted him as a receiver. He was a damn good receiver, but he wanted to play quarterback, and that was his strength. And he was a phenomenal quarterback. Same thing with Keyshawn. Everybody was on him with a receiver, and then all of a sudden he goes and lights up the summer, and then everybody's like, "Oh, well, yeah, you can play quarterback too. Yeah, come join us. You can be quarterback now." It's like, now these guys talking to me about quarterback 2 years ago.
In addition to what you were saying with I wanted to ask, you were saying like committing and letting them decide who they are and not trying to box them in. How much do you think this new 5-and-5 rule is going to be helping U of H or hurting it when it comes to recruiting?
It's yet to be seen, right? It's something we got to see play out with all these rules, because before those rules even truly take effect, there could be a change to it. Every year the window changes, and every year how many transfers you're allowed to have change. I think any rule with transfers are likely going to only benefit Houston, just with what they've done in the last couple of years. Fritz hasn't been here for a decade or anything, but there's a trend that they're keeping their guys that they bring in stay. When they got the new roster, when they showed up, of course there was turnover, just by process of it being 2026, and that's how things go. 24 then, but you guys get the point. But yeah, I don't foresee it being an issue that they can't keep guys in house. Anything possible, but the kids that I speak to, about the high school kids that I speak to, that when they talk about the coaching staff, it's why they want to commit. It's not because of the facilities. It's not. None of them are giving me NIL numbers, but that's not the conversation that we're having. It's, I hear from Brian Bell every day. Wes Fritz and Jay Gardner and Casey Smithson on the recruiting staff are constantly reaching out to me, letting me know they want me to be here. And that's everybody's job, but it's the number one sticking point, it seems to be, with Houston. Now you could sprinkle in a brand new facility, of course, and that's going to catch their eye and it's going to be enticing. But I think, they're doing a good job of keeping the guys that they want. If somebody leaves, I think it's because things didn't work out and it's time for them to go. So I don't know that the 5-and-5 is going to be an issue today, but I also don't know that tomorrow is even going to be a rule. So we'll see.
True.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you, Martin. I think from a UH perspective, I think the new rule changes have benefited UH, like with the elimination of the spring portal. If guys are going to leave, then they kind of have made that decision already before the season is even over and before the portal is open. Last year we saw guys come in the early portal and then out the door when the spring portal opens up. So I definitely would say UH has benefited from that, knowing that when guys come in, they're here. They're really locked in with playing for U of H and playing for Coach Fritz. And, there isn't a second portal that's going to open up that's going to allow them to come here for a quick stop and then get out the door.
Right. Although Thank you, Tanner Kojal, for using the last spring portal.
Yes.
Appreciate you, Tanner.
Shout out AJ Halsey and Keontae Scott. Those dudes balled out.
Yeah. Hey, you got to be proud of the work that those guys did. I mean, they took their shot, and I'm of the opinion is if kid leaves here, okay, so be it. Wish him luck, because I mean that's just kind of the nature. Because we're going to be doing the same thing. It's a two-way deal. We're looking to replace and fill gaps. Players are looking to find their spot too. And if if we're moving, I mean, where did Halsey come from originally? Wasn't he in New Mexico?
Yeah, he was a Marshall High School kid. He was from Houston.
And then he goes to New Mexico, to Houston, to LSU. Man, that dude changed his life.
Now he got drafted in the 3rd round too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying he can get drafted here, but I understand why he winds up at a LSU. I mean those types of programs are just a different level, and that's fine with that. And
you look at Keontae Scott as well, man. You talking about playing a national championship, getting the pick 6 to send your team to the national championship right before that, and then going from basically off the radar to ended up being a draft pick in the NFL. That is life changing. Like, I can't hate on it.
Yeah,
he made the right decision for himself. And as much as we want to have the opinion as fans, these kids are kids, man. They're trying to set up things for their families too.
Absolutely. And I feel for some of the guys that see the thing that we don't talk about and that nobody talks about is the other side of that. While fans get wrapped up in guys who are leaving for apparently or a supposed bigger, better deal, what about the guys that get moved out? Say, hey, you got to go find a new place. You don't hear about that. You don't hear the media bitching and complaining about the coaches didn't have room for this guy, or he went from 2nd string and then fell to 5th string because the schools went and got 3 players over the top of him and paid him $10 million. See, those are the stories you're not going to hear. And as much as coaches are going to look out for themselves, players have got to look out for themselves. And I hate losing them, but that's the nature of the game, man. It's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's being moved on is something that has existed since, for decades at this point. Since before I was working in football, even that wasn't that long ago when I started. But I've heard those conversations. I've heard after game 3, this kid just can't do it. We're gonna have to replace him. And the transfer portal wasn't transfer portaling quite like it is now. And it's the schools know when they're not gonna have a guy return. They might be on scholarship, but they know how to work things. They know how to discuss things so that a kid feels like he has to hit the transfer portal. And this isn't speaking specifically to Houston because I was there. This is speaking about around the country. This is just how it goes. This is the business, because it just is that. And a lot of these kids are going to play college football because they want to play pro football. The majority of them think, I'm going to go pro and I'm going to take care of my family. And the majority of them are not going to do that because that's just not how the numbers work. And forgive me, I'm going to get on a soapbox for a little bit because this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I see it happen to these kids. But we're not just having conversations about your football team getting better or worse, or a kid not having a football career anymore. There's the conversations about these kids should be happy not without getting paid because they're getting a college education. Well, when they get moved on from a school and they can't find somewhere else to play football, nobody's going to let them go to school for free because one time they played football. That's dead. Their opportunity to get an education is over, which means their opportunity to forward their life and their family going forward is dead. None of that is real anymore. And those guys likely don't have skills because all their life they've been told how great of athletes they are and great of football players. And that's just ripped out from under them one day. And that's the end of it. And what are they going to do? Go get a trade at that point? They're potentially 22 years old. They're going to go be plumbers. That's available to them. But, the education that they were lining up for that maybe they didn't take it seriously. Maybe that's on them too for not realizing that. But when a school decides that even a 19 or 20-year-old can't hack it anymore, and they can't find another opportunity, college education opportunity is dead for them too. Gaining, future access is gone. there's that alumni base for them to potentially go out and that web of people to reach out to for a job. That's all gone. This is a big deal. You're not just wins and losses. This is, it's hurting the economy. It's hurting society. Like it's huge for kids, and it's huge for families. And I think I don't expect everybody to care that much, but that's the reality of this. Is ex cornerback was getting burnt and he couldn't cover anybody. Let's get him out of here. Send him to whatever you think a lower school than you is. But that lower school doesn't want him either because they watched him get burnt. So those opportunities are just going to continue to go away. And a guy who was potentially one time a scholarship player is not going to go be a walk-on so easily. So, it sucks. And it's not the part of football that I like to talk about, but it is real. I don't think it can be ignored. Now we'll probably never discuss this again, and it'll probably never get brought up. But it's frustrating.
I mean, that's the other side of the coin. You only hear about the guys who are leaving in the portal, who are going to go off and get paid, and how greedy they are, and how that's just BS. But you don't hear about the kid that went in the portal because they said we don't got a place for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their options, they usually have two options, especially if you're in a P4 conference, former P5, is that you could give up your football career and stay at the school you were in and use that scholarship, or you can look for a new place. And if you look for that new place and you don't find it, then you're SOL.
Right. And if you phrase it to a kid properly, depending on what side you are, properly is relative. They'll go to the portal thinking there's another home. But like you said, I believe the rule is if you are on scholarship, you can be kicked off the team and you don't have to play football anymore. But if you don't choose to transfer out, you are still on. That scholarship is still honored to you for you to continue to pursue your education.
Correct.
But that also ties into the athletes being delusional and thinking, well, I'll just find another home and I'll be fine. And that's the double-edged sword as well. So.
Mm-hmm. And see, as from a baseball perspective, I'm used to seeing that because our deals were 1-year deals. There was 11.7 to go across 30 players, 25 back then, but 30 max walk-ons. But you had 11.7. I saw guys every year who came in on a scholarship who didn't live up to expectations, who had scholarship reduced. So if you were on books, tuition, and fee, say, we'll have you back, but you don't get tuition next year. All of a sudden, that's a different expense. Everything changes. And so they're telling you, I want you to transfer without saying, I want you to transfer. I mean, one of my roommates had his scholarship completely revoked, and I paid him a dime. And I said, well, I got to go find somewhere else. So there's the underside of it that nobody ever really talks about. Any questions for fans? Go ahead and hit us in the chat. Let us know anything that you guys got. So it looks like June's getting here.
Yeah, it's May 24th.
June's going to be hot. You got OVs, and you got Star Pizza.
That's year round though, Brad.
I know, but it's even better during summertime because I'm in the bulking phase, getting ready for 2 days on early, eating a salad. But you got that Tuesday and Friday buffets from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, and you got some pasta specials every day, all day Thursdays. So go hit them. Also hot, on fire, Section 12X. Guys, we ran a 26% off. The fans responded. It lasts till Wednesday. It's going till the 27th. So anybody out there got some get some poker winnings for some Memorial Day gambling? Boom. You bet on the number of. You get your Kalshi odds on SGA hitting the deck. You bet the over. You got it. Sure.
PJ Tucker, 5 threes.
Wemby going from hero to zero. You got it.
Wemby did hit a half court for the halftime buzzer beater.
Ridiculous, man. That's an alien right there, man.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing that we're letting NBA players back into the NCAA. So, Coach Sampson.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyrie Walker needs a home.
So everybody hit up Section 12X. Also, check out a steak night over at the Ritz. Go say hello to everybody. You brought up Joseph. You brought up the 5 and 5. Let's talk about that. Okay, so where we stand on that. They're gonna vote on it at the NCAA meetings this summer. And the way it's going to go is you've got 5 years to compete with a 5-year limit. So as soon as you enter your first academic year, the clock starts. And I like this addition that they added. It starts ticking the day you turn 19. So your clock is going. Now, fingers crossed we don't have another pandemic. Your ages are going to be intact. We're kind of getting, I want to say we're kind of getting past the 24, 25-year-olds until Will Wade decided he wanted to go haywire. But that's going to be addressed. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the 5 and 5, if it could be fantastic. I love it because it gives everybody. You can literally either redshirt somebody or they can have their super senior year. It gives you more depth. I haven't really thought deep about the impact on incoming freshmen. So I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know that impact. Maybe you guys have thoughts on that.
Yeah, my question about the 5-on-5 is that you can play, you can be in college for 5 years, like you can play all 5, or is like you have to redshirt one of those years to get the 5th year?
The way I see it, and the way I've read it, you got 5 years to play, and you can use all 5 of them. So if you want to start, if you're starting as a freshman, you can play. Now, if we were just sticking with the 4, then I would love to see them move the redshirt rule to 8 games, like they had originally talked about. And I think that kind of led into the 5 and 5 and just said, you know what, let's just get the red shirts out of the way and just go 5 and 5.
I wish this was here, man, because I graduated in my first year I was playing sports. In college, I was 17. You talk about hitting 19, I would have got a free red shirt.
Goodness.
But that's imagine what that's going to do for the early enrollees, though. That's just where my mind thought about it. If you start at 19, you get there, you get a full year just developing and not even worried about your clock starting. And then from there, you get another 5 years. So it's like with a program like University of Houston, someone that's been doing extremely well in developing. We were just talking about the offensive lineman, right? Imagine you get someone in, early enrollee, he gets to sit behind someone like Shadre Hurst, gets to sit behind someone like Boswell, get and really develop his body, go from skinny Joe, who was just, super technical, large frame, to where now, okay, in his next year, he's a full frame, he's ready to play. And you can really full out see it. I think that's going to tremendously help, like smaller programs that are good at developing from losing people in the transfer portal. That's just my opinion. That's how I see it.
Yeah. No, I'm all for it. I mean, I think it's also going to have a knock-on effect that's going to spread out a lot. It'll spread out more players because if you've got a roster full of 5 and 5 guys, and it's not going to count for the people this year. For the guys that are going to be their 4th year seniors this year, it's up to the schools and the player if they want to continue after that. And then starting with the next class, the freshmen that are coming in would be the only option is the 5 and 5. So it'll be a few years of transition to kind of go through the appeals process and all that. Of course, every bit of this is going to hit courts and judges are going to have their say on it. So, there's no telling what's going to happen with it. But I think this is the right step. I think it's the right step for players. If you're a player who is focused on your education, this is a godsend. That means you're getting an MBA out of this, or you're getting a graduate degree out of this, because you can get your graduate degree on 4 years. But if you're allowed that 5th year, you're definitely getting it, because you're there. You're going 2 sessions during summer, plus spring and fall. So I mean, you're just stacking hours. By the time you're a junior, man, you're in grad school.
Yeah, Joseph, you can always open up a lawsuit. You know, people have been suing it.
Brother, I'm about to be 24. I am retired, bro. I am retired.
Hey, man, Kyrie Walker's about to get signed, bro. You can too.
It's never over, baby.
He was a 5-star.
Class?
I was a 2.
What class was he in?
I want to say 2019 or 2020, and he took the year off. He took the year off to develop or prepare for the draft. Like, he didn't go to college, and I believe that his year off ended up being COVID. But he's played in like the G League, and I think he's played overseas.
Yep.
So now he's trying. I don't even know if he's serious about going back to college, but apparently people are offering him.
I guess Kentucky's got holes they need to fill. Everybody else on the planet's told them no.
I mean, I think, as long as the rules exist the way they do, then more power to these people for bending the rules. But it just kills the spirit of what college sports is. Like, I don't want to watch a 29-year-old European lighten it up from 3. I don't want to watch that. I can watch Luka do it in the NBA. Like, and I don't even know if he's 29 yet. But it's not as fun. Like, LSU's going to roll out a bunch of professionals, and they're probably going to make a deep run, regardless of whether or not, the coach can even coach. It's not going to matter. Your guys are more developed. They're more experienced. Like, they're going to be more productive players, but that's boring. Like, I don't want to watch that. I don't know that anybody does. You could just turn on the G League, and it's the same kind of product. But yeah, I like the 5-5 a lot for that reason. It keeps guys in college for what you expect college years to be, because it says it's either if you hit campus before you're 19, then it starts your clock. But if you don't go until you're 19, your clock starts at 19. So I don't think you would have got that free year, Joseph, but you would have got 5 years still, though. But I like that because it also says red shirts are kind of eliminated because you won't need them. So like, now maybe what? Well, no, it won't even matter then because you just get 5 years. So if you play, you good?
Yeah. You're good. I'm just reacting to sports. You good? That's my bad.
What happened? Give an update.
I'm
catching up to the Spurs game, and I just saw the Whoopi thing. But yeah, you're good. My bad.
But
hey, this isn't an in-season show. We can talk about whatever. You can always mention NBA.
But yeah, no, I think it's cool that it keeps you in there in your college years, rather than again having a 30-year-old, which is rare, but still, I mean, these guys that are 24, 25, it's insane. Because we're past the COVID year stuff. It shouldn't be happening anymore. But I did wonder.
Shout out Brandon Mack.
If another pandemic was to happen, I kind of feel like it would have to be like, I would want it to be a better one. Like, oh, do I get my Ebola year? Like, could you imagine if that was a pandemic and that's what we were saying? Like, oh, these guys still have their Ebola years or their hantavirus years. Like, that doesn't have as good of a ring. COVID just rolls off the tongue.
The Ebola year.
Yeah, I think so where we are with the international stuff, it's the thing is, the NCAA sent out guidance, and they did it in early May. They sent guidance out to everyone, basically restating a rule that's been in place for a long damn time. And now it's 100% on the NCAA. It's their fault. We are where we are, especially when it comes to the international players, because the rule always stated that they can't participate in a league with minimum compensation that exceeds actual and necessary expenses, and they will not have their college eligibility reinstated if they do. That's pretty cut and dry of everywhere in Europe. I don't care if you're in the Serbian league. I don't care if you're in Greece. I don't care if you're in Turkey or Germany or in the regular Euro League. It doesn't matter. Those guys are all professionals. It's one thing if you're talking about younger guys who are like academy products, because over there, instead of going through colleges, they get picked up by academies, and they're technically professional, but they're not compensated as like professionals.
They're playing for like the B team and the C team.
Yeah, I mean it's like, you play for Real Madrid or Barcelona B or something like that. You're not playing up in the Euro League. You're playing down in their lower leagues. There's an argument to be made for 17, 18, 19-year-olds that are on those types of teams. But the minute you go up and sign pro contracts in any of those more advanced leagues that are the top flight league of their region or their country, you're professional. And you saw Will Wade didn't start this, so I want to state that Will Wade did not start this. This is happening before that. You saw it with Illinois last year with all the bitches. I mean, they had like 4 of them that were all pros. They were all pros in Serbia and one of the other Balkans. You saw that. You've seen it with Arizona. Arizona's always had kind of a pipeline with international players, but they got what's his name, Karchikov. He came straight from the EuroLeague. He's a young guy, and so he kind of fits within the age limit, but he was already professional. Comes over here and plays. Technically, legally, or by the NCAA rules, they shouldn't be able to play. But the NCAA has been losing so many court cases. I just think they just said, screw it, I ain't gonna enforce it. Dame Sarr at Duke. He's one of those young ones. I think he was at Barcelona, and he got moved up to the Barcelona first team, and then came to Duke. Like I said, Will Wade didn't start it, but damn it if he isn't trying to finish it. And maybe Will Wade's the villain we needed all along, because it's one thing to go out and get these 21, 22-year-olds, 19-year-olds. Wade Williams said, "Screw it, man! I'm taking everybody. If you can fit into a uniform, you're coming." I mean, he's got Bryce Desiree, 23, Marcio Santos, 23, Yam Modar, 25, who turns 26 during the season. Sailu Nyang, drafted in the NBA last year. 22 years old. Played in Europe instead. He's gone out and pushed the rules so far that maybe it's going to benefit all of us.
So that's the thing. Maybe y'all can help me understand this, that I don't understand. There's a guy that they signed, LSU, who scored points in the NBA this year. Like, how the hell can he play college basketball?
I think they're betting on a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the Alabama guy just filed a restraining order, so
yeah,
that's how he was able to play. But I'm not hip to LSU.
They even had at least there was some sanity there where they're like, you were actually on an NBA roster. No, And here's the problem. Here's the problem if you allow it. And here's what I would do, and I would talk to players, and I would tell them to do. If it's allowed in basketball, guess who I'm talking to? I'm talking to baseball players. I'm talking to football players. Football players who might have left early, who went undrafted, and their UDFA might be playing in the UFL, or they might be on a P squad somewhere. I'm saying, hey, come back to school, dude. You got another year or two. Yeah, who cares if you're 23? Come back and play.
They're doing it in track.
Yeah.
Really?
Baseball, I would do the same thing. Hey, you're stuck in AA. You signed out of high school. Screw it. You ain't been in the major leagues. Come back.
So that's the other part that I'm curious of, or another part that I'm curious of. So obviously these guys are getting money. They're getting NIL money that makes it worth it for them to go back, because they're not improved draft stock. If you've been drafted, you're not going to get drafted higher because you went back and played well in college basketball. They know what you are. You were on a roster and you couldn't see the floor. So it's not to improve draft stock. It's not to get back to the professional league. It can't be, because logically, if you didn't cut it before when you ran out of your initial eligibility and you found this magic eligibility, all of these pro scouts remember you. Like, you were on a board or not. You know, they chose not to draft you. They chose not to sign you when you got cut by this other team. So none of these guys are doing it to continue a pro career. It's got to just be because they're getting the check that they know they're not going to get in the NBA or in Europe or in China. They can at least stay in America and get a decent amount of money. So I guess for me, that's my idea of saving grace, is at some point, these guys are going to just have too much pride, or these schools are going to run out of money to give these guys to do this stuff, because there's only so much money to give them. Like, I know some of these schools, they won't run out of money, like your Texases and your A&Ms, because we're all driving cars, so A&M money forever. But I just don't understand it in terms of, like, you're 25 years old, the NBA didn't work, going back to the NCAA isn't going to make the NBA work. Like, why not just go overseas and earn a paycheck? I don't know. That's the part that won't ever make sense to me. If you weren't good enough to hack it in the league, redoing college isn't going to make you good enough.
Yeah, but you're going to get paid.
Sure.
That's why I would do it.
No, I don't knock them, but I don't know who they're doing it for, other than the short-term check, which is cool. But
I think that is what they're doing it for, because the NIL checks, like, I know it's not millions of dollars like certain, like you will in the pro, but that's still life-changing money for a lot of people, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if I had eligibility, absolutely. I'm recommending going back, and if you can get paid, if instead of going to Europe, I'm coming back here. If I'm in Europe and I know that I'm hoping to get seen by the NBA or whatever, I might as well go get where I can get paid more and be right there in their face every night.
So the European guys, I get it, yeah.
But even guys like here, I mean, if you have a guy who hits, say, wants to go in the draft early, gets drafted, makes camp, but doesn't make the roster, bounce down to G League, so maybe you're on a two-way. But you never really get called up. You never really have much of an opportunity. You just plugging away. If you could go back, might as well go back, because you're going to get paid a hell of a lot more, even on the lowest salaries of a big team, than you will in the G League. Your only hope is to get paid in the NBA, and by then you're getting paid by game. You're getting paid by the amount of time you're on the roster. But you come here, get $2 or $3 million. If you're just a functional, I mean, what's his name? Abdullah or whatever his name is, that went to that ended up going to BYU, that we were in on. I mean, he goes and gets, say he only gets $500,000, $750,000. It's more than he's going to get in the G League. Charles Bediako at Bama, he's getting more money there than he's going to get in the G League. Who knows? Somebody might be crazy and decide to draft you. never know.
My take on it is I mean, these dudes are going back to college for a reason, kind of like what you said, Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Maybe they just want to party.
For the
There's a reason.
Hey,
They're not going to play school as the great.
No, they're not playing. They're not playing school.
No.
They're on the Kyrie plan. Because like if you go back to school, for example, these guys obviously they have to like be enrolled. I'd like to see the course plans for some of these kids because, like, I'm curious what the deadline is too. Of like, you know, you can play in the tournament. You got to have the grades to play in the tournament. I remember some guys couldn't because of grades, like rarely. But like, what kind of course are you doing? Like, as has come up recently, like basket weaving. Are you doing like ballroom dancing? Like, you're not truly working towards a degree. We know better than that. So it's got to be the most ridiculous classes, and they're probably all online, right? I mean, I'd like to see just an example of one of these guys who's. Because they probably have degrees if they're that old. I hate it. I don't.
I don't know. They said Stetson Bennett went to college for 6 years and didn't graduate.
That's bananas.
Hey, man, that's been going on a long time, dude. Chalk
and he went to Georgia
always
twice.
Been there.
Yeah.
He went Georgia, JUCO, Georgia.
Hey, my transcript's got some wild shit on there. I mean, I got a class called listening to music. That was a class. I got 2 credit hours for conditioning.
Well, I mean, Ryan ain't here to hear you say that.
Ryan would have cooked you.
There was a time you could see I've gone the opposite way of that. I'm rebelling against that. I would get a giant F. But yeah, that's for a long time. A large portion of athletes have majored in eligibility.
Well, it was a big deal. Matt Leinart, after he won the Heisman, I remember his last semester. They literally said they like did a story on news before the game, like all he's taking is ballroom dancing, and it was like, "Oh, this is so cool." But looking back, it's like just laughing in everybody's faces. He was there just to be there.
Mm-hmm. You know. I would always you always sign up for 15 so you have room to drop one.
Carson Beck said, I'm not going to school.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Was it just someone that there's someone from Ohio State that said the same thing? I didn't come here to play. I come here to play school.
Yeah.
I came here to play football.
Yeah, I didn't come here to play
Ricardo
school.
Jones.
Yeah. And he won a national championship. So hey.
Yeah, you're not playing school.
Kenneth, Joseph, I got a question for you. What do you think? I want to get y'all's perspective from a younger fan's perspective. What do y'all think of the proposed possible 24-team expansion for college football?
I feel like we talked about this on 4 quarters before.
We did, but let's debate it again.
I say no. The 12 team is good if they do it right. They almost did it right this year, but they didn't, and now they still trying to expand it, but leave it at 12. Honestly, I feel like it could be like more like 6 or 8. I think the 4 was too little because it was just Georgia, Bama every year and whoever else. But I like 12. I just think they need to do it right.
What would entice you to say they're doing it right? What does doing it right look like?
Whoa. Let me break in here because like I completely
go ahead.
I because we talked about it on the show. I completely disagreed with him. I would agree if it was like bowl games were still relevant. But now we just have a lot of cash grab bowl games that people are barely attending and no one's really watching. And ever since Christian McCaffrey decided to opt out of his bowl game the year after, I think it was Jalen Smith destroyed his knee in his bowl game his senior year. Yeah. It's such a playoff or bust mentality that if you don't make the playoffs, you're not going to be able to watch quality football from your favorite team. Unless it's a program like U of H who went out there because they had something to prove. But then let's say now that you're a program and you establish yourself, are we going to see the same thing from a team now that it's expected to be there? And that's it. I just hate the fact that playoffs, and not just in football and basketball with 76 teams, is becoming meaningless unless you don't do something. Now half your team's gone to the transfer portal. I told him this, like, I was really big. I think the FCS playoffs is really entertaining every single year because it's the best teams. I think it's 20-something. I don't remember. 22, yeah. And I like that format. I think it produces a great product every year. And I'm going to say, so if we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and do something, right, and we're going to do it the right way, we know where we are. This is no longer just college football. It's amateur football. What sells the most money and everything that's a professional sport is the playoffs. That's what is the most vital thing. So, like, why not tap into that fully? But I just think it depends if they're doing this for money or if they're actually doing for entertaining product itself, right? Because if you're doing it for money, you get what you got last year, which is we're just going to throw who we think is the best teams in there. Or the year before in 2024, when we're just going to throw all these teams in there, and then you see Tennessee get blown out 42-17 by Ohio State because they're an SEC team, you know, like, and that's what I hated about the tournament this year. They just threw a whole bunch of people in there in the March Madness tournament just because of who their conference is. Are we looking at conferences? Are we looking at for money grabs? Or are we looking at actual entertaining football? You know, and my bad, I went on a rant.
No. I mean, that's I want to get y'all's perspective because I mean I am firmly in the camp of I love the 2014 model. I would love to see all conference champions represented, but I know that's not a reality. I mean, that's just not. You're not going to see a team win the MAC and get an automatic bid. That it's unfortunate, but you know what? That's just life. In my personal opinion, there's 31 teams in FBS who don't belong in FBS. Not in these days. Not with the money that's at stake now. It's just way too high. You got teams out there with $20 million entire athletic budgets that are competing in a league where the top end, you got 10 teams over $200 million.
Yeah.
I mean, even U of H going, and we're looking and projecting, you know, over $100 million next year in revenue. So expenses are going to be right there with it. I mean, that puts us in just the top half of division or of the FBS. So we're on the bottom end of the real players, if you will, financially. But now I want to hear your thought on 12 teams, Kenneth.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the 24 team, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there's 24 good college teams that need to make a postseason. And like I said, that just kind of adding 24 teams, that kind of does eliminate the rest of the bowls that are somewhat still relevant. I mean, like we had U of H in the Texas Bowl. I mean, it was that was one of the most, I think that was the most watched college football playoff bowl game last year. But if you add in 12 more teams, that's taking away 6 more bowl matchups. And then on my comment on doing it right, like I don't think Tulane and JMU should have been in it. And then now next year they're giving Notre Dame an auto bid because they cried about it. So like I said, they gotta execute it right. I feel like they all like last year. No, the bracket they had last year was horrible, but this past bracket, it was almost right. It was probably about, I would say, 90% correct. So I don't think they need to expand. They just need to work on fixing the criteria for the bracket. The committee needs to come up with different ways to evaluate teams, not just if it's in the SEC or and really look at strength of schedule and all of those type of things when determining the field.
Right.
Well, I will ask you this though, Kenneth. Would it not be cinema to see a team like BYU get in and play against a team like I don't know who? Let's say they would play against JMU and it just at Bridgeport Stadium. Would that not be cinematic to see? Like it would be great football. Now, let's be honest. Let's be real here. We could talk about yes, they're going to get blown out, but in actual reality, let's see the truth. There's about 4 contenders every single year. So there's going to be 4 teams that's going to go in and dominate every single person they play against. That was Indiana this year. You know what I mean?
But Indiana is still in the Big Ten. Like I don't see, and it's different. I feel like it's different in football too. Like because obviously basketball, March Madness, you have like the Cinderellas and the upsets. I don't see any like G5 team or G6 team getting in, playing a conference championship or a conference champion or whoever they have to play and winning that game. Like it's just they're gonna get smoked. Like we could have put Notre Dame and BYU in the bracket would have been fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I agree, but I'm just saying, like, imagine let me say not JMU versus BYU, but a JMU versus a Tulane game at Bridgeforth with the student section jumping because this is the first time they've ever seen this in their life. You know, the school is going to put on everything they can for that because it's the first thing they've ever had a home playoff game ever. I just feel like that is a story in itself. It's just the smaller games, but it's two people that we know not going to win a national championship, but they're going to put on a darn good football game for us, you know?
Yeah,
You know what they used to call those?
Those matchups are bowl games.
They used to call those bowl
but
games.
But they don't exist no more.
That's literally what a bowl game is.
But they don't exist no more, though.
I think that's an issue. I don't like the big playoff bracket personally. Now, I'm like in the middle of the age range you were discussing, Brad.
Yeah.
But I think you're stepping on the dope. Like you're cutting it too much for one. So like you're saying, the product isn't as good. You know, you're gonna throw some teams in there that are gonna get trounced just for the sake of getting through the bracket. I kind of miss having conversations about the season because, oh man, but what if this team who went 11-1 had the opportunity? What if Boise State, who went undefeated, got the chance to play in the national championship instead? You know, it's, you know, your USC and Auburn shared the national championship way back in the day. You guys might have still been in elementary. I don't remember the year exactly, but Tommy Tuberville was a football coach at the time. For just to give you a reference of how far back that was, but I enjoyed, like, I remember as a fan being like, yeah, this team should have had the opportunity to play. But looking back, I enjoy having the conversation about the season that way. It's like a time capsule for the season of, well, there were these three teams who, if they had an opportunity, might have won the national championship. You know, the process was kind of dumb. You probably shouldn't let a computer be the one to pick the teams. Not that people necessarily do a better job, but I miss even 4 teams. I think it's like it was good. Because, like, that's the conversation we keep having is there's about 4 teams every year that could win the national championship, that could beat anybody in the country. I like that. I think bowl games should be more. But, you know, to your point, Joseph, do you want to make money or be more entertaining? I mean, they want to be both, but ultimately they want more money. So the playoff might end up being 50 teams one year. But it's just, I you know, not to sound too old, but I miss the time of, well, if this team had the opportunity, they could have won. I like when it was just 2 teams playing for the national championship, whether it be in the Rose Bowl or, you know, the Orange Bowl, one of the 4 that they rotated. Like, I enjoyed that as a fan because it, as people said, makes every week matter. Like, you can't lose a game to have an opportunity to play for the national championship. Now you go 9-3, you might have a shot if you're in the SEC. And then now conference championship games are even a thing. And that was a big deal into your resume. So it's like, you know, why don't we just create one big league of 50 teams, because those are the teams that are going to have the opportunity to truly play for a national championship anyway. And I just think that makes it less fun. College football isn't supposed to be professional. It's supposed to be weird. It's supposed to be air raid teams, or, you know, a team runs the wishbone because it's all they can do because they can't get the big time players to compete. Like, there's supposed to be quirks to college football for all the reasons that we're discussing. Some teams don't have the money to pour into it. Navy will never be able to run a real offense because, you know, limits exist for how big you can be in the military. So, you know, it pulls away some of that fun stuff that is why people watch college football. If you want to see a playoff, wait for the NFL. Watch that. That it's set up that way for a reason. And college football is supposed to have, you know, the you know, personality and those elements to it that just they're taking away. Yeah.
And I was gonna ask, because you got into something there. It's like losing doesn't matter anymore because of that. It's not just college championships are you're losing out, but also rivalry games don't mean as much anymore. Because I talked to my brother about it, asked you, Bodie, and he was like, "Yeah, bro. Like at first, the game was so huge because you win the game, you're probably going to the national championship." Ohio State and Michigan. The same thing with the Iron Bowl. You know, Alabama's either going or they are not because they lose to Auburn, and it doesn't matter anymore because you lose that game, you're still going to make it anyway because of who you are. But also, like, I was going to bring up the point, how much of this do you think is the coaches signing off of this because of incentive-based contracts now? Where the A&M coach, I don't know who, someone told me his name is Jalen Theory. He's a U of H student, and his dad played at A&M, so he knows a little bit. And he was telling me, like, you look at A&M's contract and the guy that they just signed, his contract is almost entirely incentive-based. If he gets to the playoffs, he gets, like, another $2 to $3 million on his contract per round.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you disagree to not expand the playoffs? That's money you put in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Well, there's still a double-edged sword to that, because just to make the playoffs, say you're the 23rd team in, doesn't mean you keep your job. That makes the stakes higher for those guys at the higher levels, is that you better be a top 8 seed. Now, here's why I'm gonna break it down why I like it. I understand that it seems like a sudden death, or you got to win every game. That means that if you lose a game, you're just playing for shits and giggles. You're just playing spoiler. If you lose 2 games, it's over. My entire life has been around all the arguments of, I'm going back to when national titles were just announced because of polls before they even played a championship game. In championship games, we had blowouts. In a 14 playoff, we had blowouts. Every level, we always had blowouts. So it doesn't guarantee that there's going to be a quality game, because that's just the way it is. What I like about this, and the reason why I think that it makes the entire season matter, is it makes the entire season matter for a lot more teams. And the reason why I say that is you're always in it as long as you're within 2 to 3 losses. Doesn't mean your season's over with. You're not playing games to finish the season, or just to maintain bowl eligibility and finish 6-6 of a bowl that half your team's going to not play in anyhow in these days. This is more of a relatively new phenomenon. But I think the intricacy of why it makes other games matter, it'll reveal itself in time, because each out of the 24 teams, there's 3 different tiers of playoff teams. One of them is the top 8. The top 8 is going to get a bye in the first round. They also get guaranteed a home game in the second round. That's a huge deal. Home games are massive, and home playoff games are even more so, that you can make a shit ton of money. But home field advantage in football is massive. Big Ten fans, this is where you get your shot to bring up them Southern boys from the SEC and make them play in the cold. Then you got the second tier. You got 9 through 16. Those guys get a home game in the first round. Big deal. So around the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 line, those guys are going to be going to war to make sure to do everything that they can to either get into the top 8 or stay in the top 8. The next line is going to be at 13 through whatever the rest of them, 16 through the rest of them. Those guys are just playing for their life, like us last year. We're playing for our life to stay in. Last year at the end of the season, you got Arizona and Arizona State. They basically flipped in the rankings, and I think was it Arizona that made it? Arizona won that game. You've got that to keep them in. So going all through the season, every single one of the top from you had, what was it? Ohio State and Georgia were 1 and 2. They weren't in flux. They had those 2 locked down. The rest of them had stakes in every single game. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. It goes from Mississippi State not playing for anything to Mississippi State having a chance to knock Mississippi or Ole Miss out of the top 8, which would put them having to play a first round game. Baylor against us, instead of having nothing to play for, they have a chance to knock us out of the top 25 and keep us from out of the CFP. Makes a big deal. I think it adds more spice to it. I think I'm not under any delusion that the bottom half of the bracket is going to win 4 straight to get to a national title game, but they can make a mess of the round 1. They can make a mess of round 2, depending on where you get put. Home team in the middle range I mean, you look at like somebody like Notre Dame, like or let's go back the year before with Ohio State. What were they, a 7 seed?
8, I believe.
7 or 8?
Yeah.
They ended up winning the Natty. Yeah. Well, we were told previously, well, there's only really 4 or 5 teams that have a shot to win the national title. And it's funny that it's Ohio State because in the 2-team playoff, they're like, the two best teams usually reveal themselves. Nobody else is going to win the national title. The year we go to 4, Ohio State comes in as the 4 seed and wins the national title. I think it makes, as far as replacing the bowl games, it's going to do that. But the bowl games have already been replaced. We've already seen how little it matters. It meant a lot to us this year because we hadn't been in a few years. And also we got LSU at home, basically, in our home city. What did it mean for LSU? They didn't give a shit. A lot of their team was gone. Now you get a bowl game like that. What you've got is the first round taking the place of games like that, where games really, truly, I mean, the season's on the line. That's your playoff game. Instead of the what is the Texas Bowl?
Yeah.
You'll have something instead of the Texas Bowl. You've got BYU versus somebody playing at someone's home stadium. So you could be a team that's right on the edge that works your way up to 16 and be able to get that home game. If U of H was able to play itself into a home game, you know how much that would matter for U of H financially? How much it would matter.
Show up.
I mean, you're talking about things going crazy real quick. But then the hype all season long. And I know ESPN is completely against it. 100% every single writer and talking head on ESPN is telling you this is the death of college football. Guys, this is the rebirth of college football if they do it. You're gonna see a lot more people engage. And while these guys, the ESPNs of the world focus on the top teams, there's a rest of college football. Those top teams have to play against everybody. Without the bottom teams, those top teams aren't what they are. Without Rutgers, nobody has a free win in the Big Ten. Indiana was like that a long time ago. I think what we're seeing a threat to a lot of the powers. Not that a school like U of H or a school like UCF, or even Baylor and TCU. Those two guys were trying to spoil the party a long time ago. And those guys kept getting shut down. I mean, you had 12-1 Baylor and 12-1 TCU get left out of the playoffs just because there was too many 12-1 teams. So how do you decide? Well, you go strength of schedule. Well, they can't control that. They can only control the three or 4 out of conference games. The SEC's not going to play those games. SEC, it doesn't matter. I'm not under any delusion that just because you can now have 2 to 3 losses and still get a good spot in the CFP, that anybody's going to change their scheduling, because they're all going to go the path of least resistance. Because honestly, that's kind of human nature for a lot of people. They want to preserve, they want to get their 10 regular season wins and try to lock themselves in. But I think it spreads out talent enough, because you have enough. You'll now have players or coaches who can legitimately say, "We're playing we got a shot at the playoffs," and all of a sudden, those playoff games become really, really big games. But I understand. I get the pushback. I understand it because it's a massive change. But you think about it, even with 64 teams in basketball that are moving to 70, whatever the hell they're doing, you're still looking at like 20% of Division I in basketball. Well, guess what? Finally, in FBS, you're going to have 20% who are making the playoffs. It's going to be the same type of deal. You're not going to see the FAUs versus San Diego State in the Final Four, but you're not going to see FAU versus San Diego State in the Final Four going forward. That's over because the money's too much. I just think I think the playoffs is going to make a bigger difference. And for every argument I hear that says, well, it was a fight to stay undefeated, and that's what makes the games matter. Well, that means that if you're not undefeated, then the games no longer matter, using that argument. If you get 2 losses, it's over. So the rest of the season's a wash. And unfortunately, we see that play out when it comes to regular bowl season. I mean, you got people, they're not just dropping out of the Texas Bowl or the Tax Slayer Bowl or whatever the hell random bowl there is out there that nobody gives a shit about other than gamblers. You got a lot of people dropping out of the big former BCS bowls. You know, that's just the way it goes. But now with CFP, instead of those upper mid-tier bowls, you're going to have games that really truly matter. And you got 24 new ones.
I hear you. I honestly fully, that's the point I'm at. It's like, are we going to keep trying to survive something that has shown itself to be dead, which is the bowl games? Or are we going to try to embrace the era that college football is in and how things are going to have changed and just understand where we are and move forward from there?
Yeah, I mean, you like to hold on to some tradition. Well, your tradition is really what you make of it. Your tradition is your tailgate. Your tradition is your friends and family and the community that's built around the college football. People who don't like it, you know, you're going to adapt to it. I mean, I'm sure way back in the day people didn't like the expansion of the NCAA tournament. They didn't like the transition where the NIT used to be the big tournament, and all of a sudden the NCAA's tournament overtook that. You know, they expanded from 12 to 36 to 48 to 64. Now they're expanding to 214 or whatever the fuck it is. Football's the same way. People fought it tooth and nail. That we don't want this BCS. That doesn't sound good. And who's to say in a 2014 tournament that the 12 seed can't come in and win it, like what Notre Dame was? They were right on the edge. I don't know if they were good enough to win it, but I know they were a pretty damn good team.
Yeah.
And it rules out, and the thing that I like the most about it, it rules out any discussion of someone being left out that could win the national title, because 20 through 24 aren't winning the national title, but they are getting to play big time games. And that is the threat for the big conferences, because say Iowa State has a good year and they're sitting at the 22 spot. We can go with us, sitting us at the 22 spot. All of a sudden we're a playoff team, just like SMU was a playoff team. That changes the trajectory of the trajectory of your program as far as perception, as far as money. All of a sudden people with money are more engaged. Well, guess what? If Houston's throwing around some money, you got SMU throwing around some money, you got some random teams out there that are going to start making the playoffs. All of a sudden their alumni are going to stand behind that. And you never know who's got a couple billionaires who don't mind just saying, you know what? If we can make the CFP, man, this is really freaking cool. I'm in. Here's 10 million. Let's go buy us a team. I'm looking at you, Texas Tech. That's exactly what they're doing. Cody Campbell dialed in and said, money's not going to be a factor. We're going to take care of that. That's off the table. Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be fun. And plus, during the summer, it gives a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah.
And watch all those ESPN people cry.
I'm gonna be real. Like, they crying like they aren't a big part of the reason we are where we are. because
They are.
Yeah,
They're
it's-
100% the reason.
They're literally the TV network that the games are shown on.
And also
Like-
because they were the one deciding who got in or not, and they wanted to go to the people with the biggest bags.
Yep. Yeah, they're the ones that were behind all the conference changes. They're the ones that were buying up and throwing out tons of money to destroy conferences.
I mean, ESPN basically owns the ACC at this point.
And they own the ACC too.
Yeah.
But one thing that I find interesting is ESPN owns 16 bowl games. All those mid and low tier bowls that are out there, ESPN owns those. Those are their properties. Guess what becomes even more relevant? Those bowls.
But then they
But
would replace with the
they needed the space. Live sports is where it's at. Even if you're getting 500,000 people to watch, that's better than any pre-recorded BS, because those are live commercials that 500,000 people are watching. Not watching it on DVR. Let's see, what do we got? Where's Kingston going in the draft? What are y'all?
We was talking about this today, J-Mo.
I think he's a hawk.
I think Kingston can go 5. I don't think he goes higher than 5. I think realistically he goes like 6 through 8.
Who's at 8?
8 is Hawks, right? Yeah, 8 is Hawks. 7 is Kings, and 6 is Nets. 5 is Clippers.
I was seeing something today that Sacramento apparently loves Darius Acuff.
Acuff's not going to be available at 7.
I wonder if they would make a trade for him if they love him that much.
I don't know if there's going to be much trading this draft night, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
People are really content where they.
Do y'all think the Wizards trade back out of 1?
No.
I think they would not be very smart to do so.
I disagree, but there's talk of Utah apparently being willing to offer a lot to get Devonta to keep him in.
Yeah, they want I guess they want AJ on the Jazz, but I don't know. I mean, if they have a big enough package to offer, who knows?
They have a ton of picks. I think they have enough to make it enticing, and I don't think being at number 2 in this draft is necessarily the worst place. I mean, even number 3, if somebody's going to offer you years worth of picks. I think Peterson is also very good, and you'd be lucky to have him as much as Devonta. But
yeah,
I think it would be interesting.
I feel like if you're the Jazz, you really can't go wrong with drafting Darren Peterson. I feel like you're kind of forcing at this point to try to trade up and get AJ. Especially if you're showing like you're desperate to get him, when I guess the equal caliber of player and Darren Peterson is right there for you.
Right. Yeah. I think it's just a long-term investment that they've put into getting him to go to BYU, wanting him to keep him close to. Because I think the owner, or like a minority owner of the Jazz, I forget the name, is a big booster donor for BYU.
Danny Ainge.
Yep, Danny Ainge. Yeah, I'm saying also that with the whole crumble cookie thing. I don't know if you heard about that with BYU. I think honestly, if they put that much into it, they obviously have an emotional connection with the guy. And I think if they does go through and we do see the Jazz end up trading up to number 1, I feel like it's going to be an Adam Silver moment. He had a hand in it.
Yeah,
I don't put it past him, man. Because we know that's how the number 1 got to Dallas.
Exactly.
Yeah, we know how the Spurs got number 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
What about Chris? I've seen his draft stock all over the place.
I think Chris I think Chris definitely rose off of just his combine. I mean, I know people were going crazy off his measurables, his vert. I mean, we've been watching him, these past year, and if you pay attention to his high school days, I mean, he's been an athletic guy. He's been able to take guys off the dribble and take dudes 1-on-1. That just wasn't his game here, but he's always had it in his bag. So I feel like he's starting to really showcase his full arsenal, which was something that he really wasn't able to do. At U of H, he was more of a role player. He was just a guy to go in there and get the rebounds, and he excelled in that role. I think his last couple performances that he had at the end of the year in the Big 12 tournament and in those first few games of March Madness, I think those are making helping him make a great case for himself as well.
Yeah. And shout out Fran Vasilla when he was on our podcast on Four Quarters. Go check it out. He kind of exposed the business about Chris too. The NBA was way higher on him than the media was for the longest time. And I think they were really respecting the fact that he went to University of Houston and pushed himself to get challenged and work to get rebound and play defense. As a 7-footer with the frame and the skills that they knew he already had, 7'5" wingspan, that's not something you'd be coached. He'll be close to around 7 foot in shoes when he gets to his full-grown build. He's only 19 years old. They're going to put more weight on him. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get more athletic. He's going to get really polished around that paint. I can see him going to like the 12-15 range. I just pulled up the draft order. I really personally would like to see him go to the Thunder. I think that'd be a great fit for him. Because but the truth is, like, that'd be great for him. They got to pick at 12 and 17. They can get him there. Another option.
You gotta make me watch Shea. God,
hey, but look, what's the problem they're having against Wemby right now? They can't get rebounds, and they don't have anybody out there playing tough defense. They have Caruso guarding Victor Wembanyama. You get someone that with a 7'5" wingspan who actually went to a coach program to play defense, that might help them out in the future.
The thing I love about Chris, I didn't know the kid had hops like he showed at the combine. I knew he could jump. I know he was up over the box. I didn't know he could jump.
You gotta go watch that Lincoln Academy.
Man. But the thing that I love, if I'm an NBA guy and I'm looking at that kid, the fans and a lot of the media focus on what can you do for me today. If I'm looking at Chris, I'm looking at what he can do for me in 3 to 4 years. At the back end of his rookie contract, he was willing to play whatever the team needed for it, and he just said, "I'm going to be the best rebounder I could possibly be," and that was considered a weak point in his game, and he attacked it. So you got to love a guy who's willing to do that, because at the end of the day, as we dissect the athleticism and the skills, at the end of the day is going out and winning and fitting into a team and doing things with the team that are going to let you win games. I mean, that's where Jamal's going to shine. That's what he's doing in Toronto, because he's a winner, and whatever it takes. And I think Chris showed a lot of that this year. It terrifies me for him to go to OKC, because I think he'd be a perfect fit there.
Yeah, that's a great spot for him. Yeah. Hey, shout out Marcus Sasser too for getting some playoff minutes in the semis.
Absolutely.
But yeah, when we had Fran on here, Fran thought Chris was a 12 to 15 type of guy. But I mean, think about it. Coming into this year, I mean, number one center prospect, of course, in the nation. 5-star. That he was a projected like top 10 guy. I saw him in like early mock drafts before the season, going in like 7 or 8. And then obviously Chris doesn't come to U of H and put up doubles every game and average 15 and 10. So, you can say his stock dropped, but I think he did everything he was supposed to do. He did everything the team needed him to do. And then, going back to last summer when he ended up being cut from USA and having to, come back to Houston and train, that was probably the best thing that happened to him.
Yeah. I mean, if he does fall to the freaking Oklahoma City, it turns out to be the best thing he ever did. Instead of going and being like the seventh people, he goes there on a ready-made team that's competing for titles, and you're thrown in immediately.
And it'd be great for his development too, because you're playing against a team that is win-win now mode, and they're going to get him up to speed real quick. They helped out Shea with his jump shot. You see how Shea developed over the years, and all these other people, and you get in a great position. And I think OKC would be like a dream come true for St. Chris. And honestly, I have a strong feeling he already knows where he's going, which is why he entered the draft and he kind of got an agent already. Like, there's probably been someone that's been in his ear the whole season. I can see him there. Another couple places I saw is Charlotte and Chicago. They could use him as well because they're both teams that are trying to build for the future. And we'll see, man. Imagine him with LaMelo throwing him a lob and Con to picking up a three. He gets an offensive rebound, throws it back out to Con.
Yeah, I mean, in Charlotte, they need a real center over there too. So,
I don't like Melo at all, but I respect his game. Hey man, I'll tell you, I didn't like Jordan when he was playing, but I came to love him because he was just that good. And players get to a point to where they become undeniable. I think that's where he is, at least in my eyes. How was it, Dominique?
Hey, I'm going to call it a night, but it's not put Melo and Jordan in the same conversation ever again.
It's not.
Thanks for having me. All right, Joe.
All right, man. Thanks, Martin. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on in the draft. I think somebody's going to get a steal with E-Man too.
I have him as a late first. I think I've been had him as a late first coming into the year.
Houston.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sharp. I think he can be a late first round pick.
Well, that would be a huge surprise.
Yeah, I was saying this, man. If E-Man was not 6'3" and he was around 6'6", I don't think there would be a question about where he would be getting drafted right now.
You can say that about a lot of guys, though.
Yeah.
I was just saying him specifically because imagine him playing wing in the NBA. He'd be perfect. He's got a good creative game. He's a good shooter, and he's an elite defender. And he's going to out-hustle everybody. But it's just, I can see him kind of playing. I think I saw this comp on Twitter, and I wish I saved it. Dang, I forgot who sent it. But it was Josh Hart, the way Josh Hart plays for the Knicks. I can see E-Man doing that something for somebody. Maybe not in the same 48 minutes a night type of deal, but, you know.
Yeah, if nothing else, I mean, I could see him being a dude that you can bring off the bench that can shoot it from anywhere, and he's going to play D. And he's going to dive for loose balls. He's going to do whatever it takes. And you know, once he gets in the NBA and gets if he gets in the NBA and he gets settled into the game, he's going to learn to live at the free throw line.
Yeah, I thought he should have did that more at U of H. I mean, I definitely thought he could have flopped his way to 9 attempts, 10 attempts a night.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, and that's really what we talk about a lot too. Is this U of H was a jump shooting team, and you know guys weren't willing to attack, and especially a guy like Emmanuel Sharp, you have the ability to draw fouls. I feel like he just didn't utilize it, but it would be great. It would be great to see him get into a staff and a program or a team rather that would maximize his abilities that maybe not have been on full display at U of H.
Right. Well, and I think they're going to. Well, I don't think he goes to the NBA. He's not going to be top of the scouting report. They're not going to design defenses to stop him. You know, their number one goal is not going to be to, hey, worry about this kid. You give him an inch, ball's shot, ball's gone.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to find out. If he gets a real opportunity to play, I think he's going to make a name for himself.
Yeah. And then with the kind of spacing that the NBA plays with, all of a sudden that opens up things a lot wider to give him a shot to be able to catch the ball and either shoot or drive past somebody as they're closing out. Just gives him a lot more room to play. And then, get to the line, baby. And that's the NBA now, right?
Yeah.
Shout out Shea. Changing the game for real.
I am.
I saw this week, and this makes me proud as a U of H fan. Saw this come across Twitter. The average player improvement in BPR over the last 10 seasons, U of H is number one. Shout out to the coaches and staff from bottom to the top, because they bring in players and they completely change. You look at Emmanuel Shart's a perfect example. When he came in, I mean, he was kind of a dumpy kid with a broken leg. And all of a sudden he morphed himself into a straight up baller. Look at the development of Mercy Miller. Mercy Miller's he's going to be
face of the franchise.
I know you guys are high on what Mercy's got coming. But man, you've seen him evolve as a player over the last 2 seasons, and I guess the last quarter of the season, man, he was a gamer, man. He was getting at it.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction on here. I think he's gonna be the next first round pick from the squad. I think he's gonna be the first player taken off from U of H next year. It's Mercy. I think he might end up having I was gonna say, and I don't want to be crazy, but I can see him averaging maybe between 15 and 18 points a game next year. I think I can see it, man, because the way he was playing in the tournament and the way because even the game that we got blown out, he came in and he started putting up shots and making shots. The game looks so slow to him, and he's a 6'4" 2 guard, and I think he has the ability to play 1 guard too, with the ability to his dribbling ability. I'm really high on him. Another player I was high on is I'm excited to see what he does with finally getting some playing time is Cordell, man, because he goes and gets after it on defense. And the one I was most excited about, me and Kiddes be talking about it a lot, is Bryce Jackson.
Yes.
Y'all get to see him. Y'all seen him in practice.
Yeah, we see him in the gym every day.
I've never seen the kid outside of highlight tapes.
He can jump out the gym. He's strong, athletic, and he's developing a jump shot. I think the reason you didn't see U of H bring in a wing in the transfer portal was Bryce Jackson. Yeah, they're gonna have. I think. Go ahead.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I know from everybody I've talked to who have talked with the coaching staff, that's all they keep saying is wait for this kid's coming, man. He's gonna be something. They don't hype people unless they truly deserve it. And if the staff is as high as it seems, and you guys are confirming this, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what the kid can do.
Yeah, definitely. Right, he's gonna have a real opportunity to get some burn this year. I envision him playing that backup 3 spot behind Chase. I think Chase is probably going to end up starting at the 3. We already talked about Mercy. He'll be that starting 2 guard. I think Mercy is gearing up for a big year. Through his social media, he's been posting his off-season work. And then I mean, he told Cullen after they lost to Illinois, like he's saying he's not messing around anymore. This is probably the biggest year of his life, playing basketball. So he knows what's at stake, and he knows that he has a great opportunity in front of him, and he knows what to do to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. The waters are parting, man. It's all there for him, and he has put in the work. I mean, I've been a big fan of him since he committed as sophomore in high school. Watching him develop over there, and then watching him here year before last, his true freshman year. I felt for him, man, because the kid could not buy a bucket. He could not get the ball to fall. But I've seen his evolution as a defender, to where he's gone from he's kind of stands around a lot, to a guy who started moving better, to a guy who really started playing with confidence. It's like, man, this guy's playing. Okay, now he's ready.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it in the tournament game or the championship game against Arizona. Him and Chase were the guys that were really putting in that work and bringing the team back. I think a point that we can all point to is at Fog Island. When they were playing Kansas, they were in the lead, they were in the run, and it was Mercy and Chase off the bench putting in that work, trying to will the team back. Obviously, the teams, the result wasn't what they wanted it to be, but you still saw that willingness to compete. You saw the change in Mercy, the mindset to go out there and guard, because I mean, that's, when you're coach, when you're as good as a player like that, but you have 68 in high school, and then you come to a team like this, and then the coach, you were a 4-star, and coach doesn't want to put you in because you're not playing defense, so you're not guarding at the ability that the team requires you to guard. That's that weighs on your conscience. He had every opportunity in the world to leave the program and transfer somewhere else to get a lot of playing time, but he stayed down. He's been here for 2 years. It's his 3rd year, so now it's your turn to be the man. The guys in front of him, you got to think about it. He's in front of, he had Malik, LJ, Milos, E-Man, all those guys are in front of you. So there's not an opportunity for you to play. So that was something that, he understood, and he was just, still putting in the work in and waiting his turn.
I mean, even that is like the fact that we talk about, he's a 4-star, he did that. Man, he's the son of Master P. He don't got to play hoops at all. He don't got to play basketball.
Yeah, he can be rapping.
He can be rapping. He can be doing what LiAngelo Ball is doing right now. But he's choosing to hoop, and not only choosing to hoop, choosing to go to a program that's tough and gritty like University of Houston. Man, I'm impressed. Like I have my utmost respect for someone like that, because he never needed to do it, but he chose to, and it shows in his work ethic, and it shows on the court. And I think, like I said, man, I'm excited for next season. I think I'm gonna say this. I think this year we had a great squad. I don't think they were put together as this next year's team will be. I think as a actual squad, next year's team is a little bit more comparable to what you would want from a team. I think there was times last year where the team got in the way of each other. When it comes to just because they wasn't constructed in a way that you wanted it to, and the people that you were relying on to off the bench, Isaiah Harwell, he didn't have a summer. They weren't able to perform. But now you look at it, you got Mercy Miller, a baller, someone with a name. He's gonna be the face of the franchise next year, scoring the ball. We got a good floor general. I know everybody has their opinions about Deaton, but he's gonna be running the point, and I think that's gonna be cool, because now you don't got to worry about 3 guards trying to figure out how to play with each other. You got 2 actual wing and 2 big men. And that's on the first lineup when we talk about the starter. And then you look at the bench, you got a bucket in Corey Hadnot. That is a bucket. You can average 21. I don't care where you play. That's a bucket. You got Bryce Jackson, who's going to come in and play a great role. You got 2 good with Brandon East, and whether it be Del Rico off the bench or be Arafan off the bench, 2 good big men you can rotate in with there. You're going to have Cordell, or you're going to have Ikena competing for that second backup point guard spot. You have everything you need. And this team, I think, is going to be real solid. It's going to be hard to beat them, because they are going to have an answer for everything. And it starts with someone like Mercy Miller committing and staying here. And it encourages other bigger names to come here over time. Cordell staying the course of action. All these things. And I'm just excited, man.
Yeah,
it's I think it speaks a lot to the type of mentality that Mercy has, is that he's gone through 2 tough years.
Yeah.
It would have been easy to walk away at any time, because you can go somewhere and you're getting minutes immediately. You pick your spot, you go anywhere you want. But he chose to stay here. He came and stepped into the fire and stayed there when it got hot, and it wasn't good for him. It wasn't comfortable. He had to hear things that not a lot of people will be willing to tell a guy like that. Like Kelvin says, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, and it ain't always going to be good. But he's fought through that, and he's a guy that's, Joseph, like you said, this kind of gets back to this team is kind of a reset, if you will. This is a reset to first principles of just a bunch of dogs. And that's what I'm looking for from this team. It's just a bunch of alphas who are going to go out there and just go get it. And it helps that you don't have 3 people all trying to get to the same spot for shots. Like I thought you said it well, that the guys were running into each other because they all played a similar game except for Kingston, but they all ended up getting to the same spots. I think it's going to be a different style this year that you see. And then the one we can't overlook is, fingers crossed, JoJo stays healthy through the summer. He gets a full summer of development. Because I think what you saw at the end of the year with JoJo, that's a beautiful thing about the guys coming back. You really saw them grow by the end of the year. JoJo was a different player. When he wasn't in foul trouble and he played under control, he was a different player. He showed some offensive game. He showed restraint, and he's a dude that when he unlocks, look out, because he's not just a one-way defender.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I feel like that was the thing we kind of been saying about JoJo the past 2 years. Can you say the foul trouble? And I'm pretty sure the past 2 summers he's been injured. I know Kelvin said on the Zoom some weeks ago they're gonna really put a lot of work into JoJo and probably honing his offensive game. I thought we would have seen the offensive leap last year, but as previously stated, he didn't have a summer. So I think JoJo finally having that healthy summer, that healthy offseason is going to do wonders for his game. And even then, just going back to last year, I feel like they still could have gave JoJo more opportunities to create for himself or just give him the ball down low. I mean, I really feel like he didn't have much of a touch last year or much touch around the rim. But even then, you see in that Arizona game, he went 9 and 15 because they were. Yeah, the career game without having touched. So, now when he puts in that work this offseason, we're going to see the improvement. And, going back to your comment, Joseph, about the roster construction, I didn't really feel like there was anything wrong per se with how the roster was constructed. It was just more so of guys not coming to get coming to form how you thought they were. But like I said, I wasn't really too much a big fan of the 3-guard lineup. And I'm kind of glad that they're going away from it this year. I feel like in the portal, there was definitely like intentional moves. I feel like they addressed everything that they were lacking on last year with, just guys getting buckets. You brought in, you brought in D.D. Thomas, and then you brought in bigs that can create down low with Del Rico and Braden East, which it really was what we were missing last year. And then you're bringing the number 1 center again in Erifan Diani.
And he gets started not this Monday, but next Monday.
Yeah, well, some of those guys are already here putting in work, but conditioning is June 1.
Yeah, the guys are here. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
These guys got a lot to prove, and the good thing is it's wide open for them. Every spot that you want is available. Nothing's set in stone except JoJo.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's whoever wants it, and I think you're going to see a bunch of hungry dudes going at it. Practices as always, they're going to be a war.
Yeah,
and they're about to find out. They're about to find out with Coach Bishop.
Oh
yeah, you got a lot of new guys, man, and that's a good thing. The good thing is that you've got guys like Chase and Mercy who have been here for a while, who have gone through tough times. Cordell, I mean, man, I just hope the gods give that young man a break and let him be healthy, because he just played the few minutes that we got to see of him before he got hurt again. He's just got a dog factor to him, and
it was nice too.
Yeah,
especially with the limited reps he got actually playing the point guard. I liked what I saw from him. It's just there wasn't a lot of them. Yeah,
I want to see him healthy. I want to see him be able to go out and be himself and just go out and play. But there's a lot to be excited about because it's these guys are brand new for us.
Yeah, definitely coming into last year. I mean, with Cordell, I thought he would be a guy that would finally, get his opportunity this year. It's just been, just unfortunate for him, really, not only the injuries, but it's just they're ultimately just keep recruiting guys over him. I feel like this year, you needed a starting point, but outside of that, there's an open opportunity for Cordell to play, and we said this after the season. There's a lot of opportunity, there's a lot of movement. Like Chase, a guy like Chase, if you want to start, I mean, then go start, go do it. Mercy, if you want to start, this right there for you. Go get it. Bryce, if you want some burn, Cordell, if you want some burn, the opportunity is right there for you to go take it. I think a guy like I think Cordell and Ikenna, I think they're going to be competing for the same spot.
And you got options. I mean, that's I would like to see ultimately what comes out of this. I would like to see more productive depth. Last year we had a lot of people who could play. Unfortunately, we were less productive than what we would like to see. I would like to see that better this year, and I think we will. Because there's no real, like I said, JoJo's the only locked in. Every other job is wide open. Last year, E-Man, and E-Man, JoJo, and Milos were locked in. Nobody was taking those spots.
Yeah. Do you think with this year? I know there's no locked in spots, but do you see any players other than JoJo because he's going to be a senior next year, correct?
Yeah.
Draft. That's what I was going to ask you about.
Drafted.
As far as draft possibilities,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think there's guys with draft talent. I think there's guys with skills to do it. I mean, I think Thomas could play his way into it. I think I know Mercy can play his way into it. I don't know. We'll see, because next year the draft is.
It's supposedly a weaker class.
Well, the freshman class is not as elite depth. If you know what I'm saying. Now, there's going to be some guys who are going to come back. I wouldn't be surprised if Koa Pete's back.
I think he needs to come back.
I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go. Not for his sake, for my sake.
Yeah, because you don't want to play. Because you don't want to play him again.
Yeah, no, I think that kid is good, man. I don't care what they say. Maybe his game doesn't translate to the NBA, but it sure translates here.
Oh yeah, he's an excellent college player. I don't know if he's gonna be if he's a great NBA player right now. That's why I think he should return. But yeah, from a U of H perspective, no, I wouldn't want that guy in my conference for another year, especially because they got Caleb Holt over there too now.
Bryce James, can't forget about him.
Oh,
conference MVP.
Yeah, Bryce James, yeah. And then they got they're bringing back Krivas too. So and Del Orso. So Arizona, they still got a solid roster. And look at Kansas, T. Stokes over there.
Kansas,
T. Stokes and TK, man, they're gonna have a nice little.
Hey, we might see them boys in players era. Get a little early pre non-conference conference game.
Yeah. Hey, but Florida's God dang, man, Florida's bringing.
They brought back some ballers, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Is Florida tough?
Whew.
They're probably gonna be preseason number one
if it falls right.
Yeah, I think so. They're already gassing them up right now. So
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it's gas, man. They just returned a potential lottery pick. They got a bunch of really good recruits. I think one of the top 5 in the transfer portal class too. Like they got a squad over there. I can't lie.
Hey, Michigan reloaded. I mean, hell.
Oh yeah, they definitely did.
Illinois is bringing a lot back. They lose Wagner, but they return. Don't they return all the Vitches? They're going to be tough. Louisville. I mean, you got to put Louisville in the conversation. UConn's going to UConn.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating to watch because it's going to be next year's draft is going to be different than this year. I don't think you're going to hear as much freshman hype all over the country because I don't know if you have as many. I think you're going to have as high level superstars. I just don't think there's going to be as many. You know,
I agree.
Did the Stanford kid return, or is he staying in the draft?
I think he's staying. I think I saw something about him. I think he might be staying in the draft.
Yeah,
he got some love at the combine.
Yeah,
I mean the guys who are pulling out this year are probably going to fill the lottery next year. I would say, because there's just more room. There's more space. That's the only reason why I was saying that Sinak could be a possibility And I was saying that about midseason, but then once I saw him evolve and develop, I was like, he's not going to be here.
Yeah, he's gone.
Not going to be here. What you guys got coming up the rest of the summer? Anything going on you want to pitch, promote?
Let's say this: we definitely are in work in progress mode. We all have been taking a little break. Semester was long. We're gonna get together. We have a lot of things that we're working on. The things we want to do. I mean, can I just tell them a little bit about it? Kenneth, what you think?
What are we talking about, Joseph?
The off-stream stuff we want to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're gonna just, I mean, like, we're gonna try to do like some off-stream stuff and get some videos done. I know me and Kenneth and Daniel are gonna start writing a lot more with journalism side, because we could talk. I'm a yapper, I know it, but I actually prefer writing because I can slow myself down. I'm actually able to communicate, So I'm gonna be writing more articles, probably NFL, college football. Always read paperboy.com. Shout out Cole and his platform. And then Coop TV, we got some exciting things. Me and Lyndon and Cullen, since Kenneth and Daniel have graduated and moved on, we're going to try to do as much as we can with our platform. So that I can tell us talk about that. Personally, I'm working on a lot of things. It's under wraps. I got to wait on God on that, and then I'll be able to talk more about it.
Sweet. Yeah. Definitely go check all that out. Kenneth, what you got?
What you got, Joseph?
Big 12 Media Day. That's the first thing I can announce. We will be there for football.
Yes.
Nice.
If you want us to ask questions, DM me. You see my right there. I can ask whoever you want. Ashton Porter.
But they even bring him. I don't even know they're gonna bring him.
We could talk to Arizona State's head coach about the whole Sam Levitt situation. I'm open ears, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we will be at Big 12 Media Days. Ryan is trying to get us a table at Media Days, so
nice.
We might bring the show to you live at Media Days. Well, we'll see once it gets closer to it and we really coordinate what we want to do. But yeah, that's definitely a big thing this summer. Big 12 Media Days. We will be continuing 4 quarters throughout the summer. We still locked in with Star Pizza, of course. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for the season to start, football and basketball. It's about to be basketball conditioning. They'll probably have a media session next week. Hopefully I can make it to that and bring, drop some content regarding that. And then we're gonna have fall camp coming up, late July through August. That's definitely an exciting time. This will be my second fall camp. And, I got some other, ventures cooking up on the side. Hopefully everything pans out and I'm not homeless by the next episode. But other than that, that's it for me.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate you guys being on here, man. It's always good to hear from y'all. Always great stuff. Everybody make sure y'all go check them out. Follow them on the socials. Keep an eye on everything that's going. Make sure you give them some ideas. Anything y'all want to see, let us know. We're here to provide. Baseball search. I don't know anything because I'm not following it. I want to stay out of it. Who's going to get hired is who's going to get hired. I like the fact that it's been pretty quiet.
I got to bring Michael Carrera on here from Cougar Sports. He's the baseball guy.
I'm not going to chase a lot of rumors.
Just get it right, please.
It's gonna be what it's gonna be. I think there's a lot of guys that have been mentioned that are definitely interesting. Honestly, I'm at a spot where I think whoever we bring in is going to be successful. I think U of H can attract that type of coach. Whether it be any of the names mentioned, I don't have a preference. There's only one that I don't like, and I don't think there's a shot anyhow. So, it's not that I don't like him personally. I just don't like I don't think it's the right fit. But I think there's a lot of guys who fit and a lot of guys who could succeed here. It's just a matter of just picking one and then getting behind them and hopefully the support from the school is going to be what we hope it would be for a Big 12 team that you expect to make the tournament. That kind of commitment is going to happen no matter what. And if we're not willing to do it, that's fine too. Shut the damn thing down. Turn that bitch into a parking lot.
I mean, we have Tarleton State making the regionals. U of H can certainly do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Lamar. UTSA. You got an opportunity here, and being in the Big 12, we can leverage a lot of that. We can be attractive. We can be the hometown team, just like we are in every other sport. It's going to have to take somebody with a similar type of vision. The blueprint's been made. The blueprint has been made. It's there. Kelvin Sampson is the Pied Piper. You hired Willie Fritz. It turns out that he is that type of guy too. He didn't have to come here and learn it. He's just that type of guy. So the person that we get, I think, is going to be in that vein with that type of mentality. You see the success with golf. You've seen the Coach Mitchell with the women's basketball struggle this year. Killed it in the portal. Good things are looking there. Soccer's looking better. So we'll see. But
I did. I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, I did make it out to one of the coaches' caravan, pop-ups that they've been doing around the state. It was a pretty decent event. I got to talk to all the head coaches. I talked to Matthew Mitchell, Coach Fritz, Kelvin Sampson, and who else was there? I'm missing out on one, but yeah, it was good to see all the coaches. Good to see the coaches interacting with the fans. I had a good conversation with Coach Mitchell about just the moves he's made with the team. He seems really excited about the team. He seems really confident in the moves he's made. And, as he should be, they brought in a lot of talent that just wasn't available when he got here last year. He got here very late in the cycle, and the team needed bodies. And I feel like, as a watcher of, just the program and the women's basketball, I feel like there's definitely something to be excited for. And I'm ultimately the vision that Eddie Nunez is on right now with the hires he's made. I mean, he brought in Matthew Mitchell. Obviously, last year wasn't what was expected, but I feel like, there wasn't really much to work with. And then soccer, we saw that just overnight really changed with soccer with the hire of Ben Williams. So when they ultimately make the baseball hire, I'm sure it would be, someone who will fit right in with not only just the baseball program, but the institution itself.
Yep. I mean, I think it's important to be able for U of H to establish a culture, not just within basketball, not just within football, but that mentality and that kind of culture permeates everything, because it's really simple, but difficult to execute because it takes focus, dedication. And that's hard to do every day. I mean, to come in and give it everything you got every day, it's the hardest thing to do. Anybody can have talent. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, and that's what my other line was. I mean, Eddie Nunez could easily just accepted the Houston job and said, "Oh, basketball, they're doing all right. Football, they just got Willie Fritz, and he could have just kicked it back." But he's trying to not only bring up the revenue sports from their elevated positions that they already are to make them better, and then bring in the rest of the athletic department as well.
Yep. We want to thank Star Pizza, as always, your dedication to the University of Houston, to GoCoogs, to the Four Quarters, to all of us. Everybody get out to Star Pizza. Support those who support us. Support you. Go see them. Section 12X, we got the sale going on, 26% off to celebrate the women's trip to the NCAAs. Runs through the 27th. Get it ordered. Gear up. You got to look good. That's all there is to it, man. Those things are nice. They're perfect for summer. I was wearing mine yesterday. It was a little bit warm and sticky, but, man, it kept me cool. It kept me cool, and if nothing else, if I'm sweating through it, I'm still looking good. Thank you to the Ritz. Everybody head out there. If you're down that way, we appreciate your support. Kenneth, thank you. Joseph, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking your time on a holiday weekend to hang out with me You guys always bring a good perspective. I appreciate it, and thank you to anybody and everybody who viewed tonight. Setting aside another Sunday night with the GoCoogs crew, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having us on, Towns.
All right, man. We'll see y'all next week.
Oh yeah.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.